I don't want to be involved with it, but I do respect the fact that it's going to do big numbers. It's just not boxing. And I don't think we should promote it as boxing.
Recently surfaced footage from Gervonta Davis's training camp reveals him going toe-to-toe with sparring partners the size of heavyweights as he prepares for his upcoming fight against Jake Paul.
Stop closing up, gotta let it go. Keep turning, step around. Keep turning.
The footage shows Tank pushing his limits against much larger opponents, demonstrating that size doesn't shake his confidence. Sources say his team organized these high-intensity sparring sessions to build his resilience and quiet those questioning his ability to stand up to bigger competition. One clip even captures a shocking moment, a heavy shot that nearly drops his sparring partner.
Gervonta Davis has been taking on much larger opponents during his training sessions, sparring with heavyweights and power punchers to sharpen his strength and timing. These intense sessions show how confident he is, refusing to stay within his own weight class as he tests himself against fighters who outweigh him significantly.
During his recent training sessions, Gervonta "Tank" Davis has been going up against opponents far bigger than himself, mixing it up with heavyweight sluggers and power punchers to sharpen both his timing and strength. These grueling workouts highlight his growing confidence and willingness to step outside his natural weight division to test his limits against fighters who outweigh him by a wide margin than on the other side. Jake Paul has built his brand on matchups that spark conversation and controversy. His opponent choices are never random. Each fight seems carefully crafted to tilt slightly in his favor, while still leaving enough uncertainty to keep fans intrigued. Whether it's a gap in size, experience, or fighting style, Paul's strategy lies in creating just the right mix of advantage and suspense. That fine balance between control and risk is what keeps his fights so captivating. Every bout becomes a calculated gamble, one that makes viewers wonder who will seize momentum when the bell finally rings.
What's the key to having a fight that's exciting? Is when you look at one corner, you're like, that guy can't be beat. And you look at the other corner, you're like, that guy can't be beat. And they're about to fight. It just feels like Jake Paul is always picking fights where he has a massive advantage. Like now he's fighting Gervonta Davis, who's, I don't know how much smaller, but probably close to like 80 pounds smaller, which is a crazy, significant weight advantage for Jake Paul. Now, you have to also look at the other way. Gervonta has a crazy advantage over Jake Paul. He has incredible amount of skill, more years of training. And for sure, pound for pound, he would mop the floor with Jake Paul. But this is what makes the fight exciting. And two guys fighting, and we don't know who's going to win. Guys, what's the key to having a fight that's exciting? Is when you look at one corner, you're like, that guy can't be beat. And you look at the other corner, you're like, that guy can't be beat. And they're about to fight. Somebody's about to say go, and these guys got to go at it. So that's what makes a fight exciting. So this is kind of that. Because if they were the same weight, none of us would tune in. We'd be like, this is just a punching bag for Gervonta. It doesn't make the fight exciting. But because Jake Paul is so big, so much bigger, it makes the fight exciting.
Promoter Eddie Hearn has voiced concern over the upcoming matchup between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul, suggesting that it blurs the line between authentic competition and manufactured spectacle. In his view, the heart of boxing lies in fair, skill-based contests, not an event staged primarily for attention and profit. Hearn points to the clear size disparity between the two fighters as a major issue. Jake Paul naturally competes at a heavier weight, while Davis built his reputation in lighter divisions known for speed, precision, and technical mastery. He cautions that when boxing leans too heavily toward entertainment, it risks undermining the sport's integrity. To him, this bout looks less like a true sporting challenge and more like a commercial production, one that could chip away at the respect and tradition that boxing's long history was built upon.
Said that there was a chance that Jake would fight in November. I think, wasn't I the one that broke Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis 6 months ago or something? I knew that they'd agree that deal. I didn't know they were about to announce it then, but I did know that they'd agreed that deal previously. So I don't like it, if I'm honest. I mean, I think we need to really differentiate between boxing and an entertainment concept, and that's what that is. It's a freak show, it's entertainment, it's a lightweight fighting a cruiserweight, you know, with, I don't know, is it bigger gloves and certain minutes per round? I don't know what it is, but, you know, I understand the market and I understand this freak show, shock kind of the world mentality of people potentially tuning in. Is that a step too far? Maybe. I mean, I hated Jake Paul against Mike Tyson, but it did massive numbers. I hate Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis. It'll probably do massive numbers. So that's when you really have to differentiate yourself between, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it isn't going to do good business. However you want to be involved with it is another kettle of fish. I don't want to be involved with it, but I do respect the fact that it's going to do big numbers. It's just not boxing. And I don't think we should promote it as boxing.
In the meantime then, Eddie, where does that leave you with Anthony Joshua? Are you exploring other options for the end of this year, or are you still looking at that fight for the beginning?
Yeah, no, we're not interested in the Jake Paul fight right now. After that, I mean, like, you know, we're not going to wait around till November. Is it November or December, whenever it is, and see how he gets on. I mean, if he gets chinned by Gervonta Davis, we can't exactly make the Anthony Joshua fight.
Former world champion Paulie Malignaggi offers a more grounded perspective on the matchup. He cautions fans not to view the event as a legitimate boxing contest, but rather as a form of entertainment. According to him, it's a showcase, not a ranked bout, not one that affects records or standings, and not something that will alter either fighter's career trajectory. Malignaggi compares it to the exhibition-style events of the modern era, designed to draw crowds and generate buzz rather than to prove who's the better boxer. He encourages viewers to appreciate it for what it is, a spectacle built for entertainment. His view echoes the frustration of traditionalists who worry that boxing is drifting away from its roots. Yet it also highlights a reality, that the sport has evolved into a business where star power and marketing often carry more weight than belts or titles.
When I watch it, I just think he's fighting opponents that, you know, are not with it anymore or are too small for him and whatnot. But in this situation, it is an exhibition. So you've got to keep in mind that this could be set up. This could be like WWE. This one could be set up. I don't know. I'm not saying it is, but this is not a sanctioned fight, champ. This is an exhibition. And an exhibition means you cannot bet on it. You cannot bet on the result. If you remember, this is why they changed the Mike Tyson fight from an exhibition to a real fight, because they realized, you know, an exhibition, you could stage it and they couldn't take bets on it. So this is an exhibition. There is no betting on it. So that means, I'm not saying people are going crazy with the opinions who's going to win, who's going to lose. You don't know what size gloves they're going to wear. You don't even know if they're going to stage the whole thing, because this is something that, as an exhibition, it's not illegal to stage it. So I think this could be all kinds of crazy, wacky stuff. This is a bit of a circus, in my opinion.
Who would you think should win that fight? Would you think that Davis should be able to get in there, even though the size did 100 pounds? Do you think he should be able to do it?
If they don't stage it and don't kind of set up a sort of a mild sparring session, I'd say Davis has a chance. Depends on the size of the gloves. Because here's the thing, Jake is probably 100 pounds bigger than the guy. You know, that's a lot of weight, Carl. You know, you've been in a boxing ring, that still counts. And if you make the gloves small, Gervonta could technically hurt Jake even if he hits him. But the problem is, if the gloves are small, Jake could also hurt Gervonta, because Gervonta's so small. Gervonta's so much smaller than him. You know, so do you make the gloves big, and then really who's got an advantage? I don't know. You know, technically Gervonta's a lot better boxer, but he's so much smaller. I've stood next to Jake. Jake's a big guy. It's like I said, it's a bit of a circus freak show, and that's why I don't put it out of the question that this exhibition could be a bit staged in the ring.
Wade Plemons from The Wade concept portrays Jake Paul as a strategist who uses influence and perception as effectively as his punches. According to Wade, Jake's true skill lies in his ability to manipulate narratives, blending ego, fame, and psychology to draw opponents into his arena. He suggests that Paul enticed Gervonta Tank Davis into accepting the fight by leveraging attention, wealth, and the lure of a massive payday. making the offer nearly impossible to turn down. Through confidence and clever promotion, Jay transforms each matchup into a worldwide spectacle. As Wade puts it, Jake's success isn't measured solely by what happens inside the ring, but by how he dominates the storylines that surround it, before, during, and long after the fight.
Also, and again, Jake's only been boxing for 5, 6, 7 years now. It isn't necessarily far-fetched to try to have his own advantages when trying to fight other boxers that have been far more experienced than him. But this one's a little too much, right? This one is crazy because of the massive weight difference. It doesn't make a ton of sense. But again, as far as a sport fight is concerned, I want to make sure I make that clear. Again, this is not me hating on it, because I do think that both guys have been very upfront with what they're doing in this fight and what their goals are with these kind of events. But the narrative Jake's trying to create as if this is like proving anything for him fighting a real fighter when Gervonta is so much smaller than he is. It'll prove something in the fact that Jake is willing to put on great events, but it won't prove anything to the people that are asking him to fight a real fighter. I will say though, if Jake goes out and flatlines Gervonta, the casual audience that will say Gervonta smokes Jake completely and utterly, like it wouldn't even be close, that will change their minds a little bit. Not the people that know boxing, but the people that are going to watch this, the casual viewer that know the name Gervonta Davis and know the name Jake Paul. If he is to compete with Gervonta at all or look good in that fight, people will in some way accept that. Or they'll do the other thing where they just say the fight's rigged, which has never been the case, but you get what I'm saying. What Jake is doing is trying to convince a casual audience that he belongs in the ring with bigger names. If he's able to hurt Gervonta at all, that might act.
Despite all the hype and spectacle surrounding the event, Gervonta Davis is treating it like a legitimate test of his abilities. Sources close to his camp describe him as laser-focused and fully committed to preparation. His training partners have been noticeably bigger, emphasizing his determination to face the size challenge head-on. Reporters who've seen him at press events mention his composed demeanor and unwavering concentration. Davis isn't letting the outside noise affect him. For him, this isn't about chasing fame or putting on a show. It's about proving that refined skill and precise technique can overcome raw size and bravado. On a deeper level, this fight feels personal, a chance for Davis to uphold boxing's technical roots while pushing himself to his physical and mental limits.
In the press conference, and you can tell, you can just look at him and tell, like, no, this dude he's gonna get this money for sure, because there's so much money out there to be had. But Jake Paul better be not playing around, man. Not get cute, not play any games, don't hit him in the back of the head, don't rabbit punch him, don't do any of that stuff, man, because Mike Tyson, first of all, a lot of people think Mike Tyson was pulling punches on Jake Paul, and a lot of people think that Anderson Silva was pulling punches on him too. You're not gonna have a little Gervonta out there pulling punches on you, man, if you're out there playing games. So, I don't like the fight at all. However, as far as it being an entertaining situation, I almost guarantee you that fight itself is going to be entertaining. That it's going to be something that you look at and you're going to say, man, everybody's going to watch it. Everybody's going to want to know what happens in it. But at the same time, it's kind of like what people think, when you see a car crash, like you're driving down the road and all of a sudden the traffic gets heavy and you're like, man, I'm going to be in traffic for a long time. And then you drive forward a little bit and then you see, oh man, this is some accident on the other side of the road and everybody just slowing down to watch. That's the type of entertainment that you can expect from this fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. There's going to be a lot of people watching it, but I gotta say, man, you really can't blame the guy on what he's doing. And there's a lot of criticism flying on Gervonta Davis. It's not Gervonta Davis's fault that boxing took this turn. This turn of these exhibition fights and people not caring about the belt.
The upcoming fight has split opinions throughout the boxing community. Some fans view it as a setback for the sport's integrity, while others believe it represents a fresh way to modernize boxing and draw in a new generation of viewer-supporters of Gervonta Davis. See this as his chance to highlight the gap between a seasoned boxer and an entertainer. Jake Paul's followers, on the other hand, argue that he's bringing renewed energy and visibility to a sport that's been losing its grip on younger audiences. The discussion reveals a deeper generational divide between those who cherish boxing as a disciplined craft and those who embrace it as a form of entertainment. No matter where fans stand, one thing is undeniable. The matchup has achieved exactly what Jake Paul is known for, getting the entire world talking.
And number 3, the retirement.
I mean, the backlash is just what people do nowadays. That's just, you give somebody a keyboard, you give them a phone, and they able to hide their face. Yeah, they gonna have a field day. The backlash I get, I understand. What'd you say, number 2, not fighting Shakur?
Yeah, he's saying he'll never fight Shakur, that he ain't gonna do him no favors, that he ain't gonna help him make no money because Shakur broke or something like that. Something along those lines.
Yeah, I don't get all that. That's, you know what I mean, that's against the game. Like, you know what I mean? You at least owe that fight for the game. You know what I mean? You owe the rematch to Lamont for the game. But you owe Shakur for the game just because of the 2 style matchups. You know what I mean? But if he feel like he don't gotta fight him, guess what? We can't sit here and just go crazy about it. But it is kind of crazy. It is kind of corny. You know what I'm saying? If he not gonna fight Shakur, and if he's standing on it like, I'm not ever gonna fight you, I'm not doing you no favors. And all right. But then again, you know what? I don't know what them guys got going on. I don't know what they've been through personally. You know what I'm saying? But would I love to see that fight? Hell yeah, I would love to see that fight. And then number 3, you said what? You said
retirement.
The retirement. Oh, boxing. Boxing. They're around. They're around. There's always gloves around. It's on you. It's on you. I'm chilling. You all right? Yeah, get with me. I know. How you feel? Dark skin boy. That's my man. The retirement is like he done a lot in his career, right? Not everything, but he done a lot. What people don't understand is his business is a lot. This whole experience is a lot. The shit these fighters go through is hard to explain. It's hard to explain because people, they can't see it, so they can't understand it. But it's stressful to the fighters because they coming from just getting ready to fight in the amateurs, being prepared, going out there, win, get it done, celebrate. All right, we back to the next camp. To now, marketing. You're talking about marketing. You're talking about lawyers. You're talking about all this shit that you just never imagined. You're like, why do I have to deal with all of this?
The result of this fight could shape the future of boxing for years to come. If Jake Paul comes out on top, it may open the door for more crossover matchups, where celebrity influence outweighs rankings and reputation. These kinds of fights might capture global attention, but they also risk pushing traditional champions and skilled contenders out of the spotlight. That, on the other hand, if Gervonta Davis wins convincingly, it could reaffirm faith in classic boxing values, proving that experience, precision, and discipline still matter more than social media fame or marketing power. This bout is bigger than 2 fighters. It's a reflection of what direction the sport might take, one defined by legacy and technique, or one fueled by entertainment and spectacle. Still, despite the controversy, anticipation is sky high. Critics may dismiss Jake Paul's style as chaotic or unorthodox, but it's exactly that unpredictability that keeps fans watching. His fights move fast, defy expectations, and always deliver moments that dominate headlines. Love him or hate him, Jake Paul has found a way to make every punch feel like an event.
The purists hate it, the algorithm loves it, and both will watch. It's not just who wins, it's what wins. Will the entertainment value or the ring IQ come out on top? Because if Tank dominates, the meme dies. Jake Paul survives or hits it big, we see new rules are going to be written in real time. Me, you, maybe everyone at some point has been that bigger guy, thinking that I'll just bully him. Jab, slip, liver shot, sat me down real nicely. Size helped until it didn't. All I'm saying is, let's not dismiss something because it looks weird. Many fights get decided by the details. Feet before fists, timing before muscle, discipline before clout. Look, Tank wins if he stays Tank. He's built on patience, traps, explosive counters. That's hell for a tall guy who gets eager. Jake's long jab is the gate, but Tank's head movement is the key. Once he times it, the door's getting open and the furniture is going to get rearranged. Think locksmith versus padlock. Big padlock looks scary until the right tool clicks once. Jake throws that overhand like he's bowling with the shoulder. Effectively, you don't see.
The upcoming fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul is redefining what many consider real boxing. Unlike traditional bouts that follow rankings, mandatory defenses, or title opportunities, this matchup occupies a space somewhere between professional sport and entertainment spectacle. While some purists warn that such events risk undermining boxing's credibility, others argue they help the sport stay relevant in the social media era. What makes this fight unusual is that both competitors are still in their prime. Exhibition-style matches typically feature retired legends past their peak, but here, both men are actively building their careers. That makes the bout a curious mix of competition and spectacle. Beyond strength and skill, the fight is a clash of identities. Davis represents the disciplined, old-school fighter who has earned his reputation through years of dedication and hard work. Paul embodies the modern showman who has built his brand through charisma, strategy, and marketing. Both styles carry influence, but only one will help shape the next era of boxing. A decisive win for Davis could remind fans why technical skill and mastery remain at the heart of the sport.
Fights like this, with fighters pretty much in their prime. But other than the size mismatch, most people are wondering why has Tank taken this fight? And those were the first questions targeted to Tank in this presser. Because usually these sorts of bouts are relegated to the latter part of your career. And for most Gervonta Davis supporters, they thought they would get the big fights next, the Shakurs. They didn't think he would be fighting Jake Paul. Although Tank tried to push it off as fans should just be happy watching the sport and hey, haters will be haters, I think that's quite unfair to the people who have been loyal supporters of him and honestly have paid his bills. He tried to compare the level of criticism he gets to the likes of Mayweather.
Fights like this usually involve athletes well past their prime, which is why many fans are asking why Gervonta Tank Davis agreed to face Jake Paul. Those are the first questions posed to him during the press conference. Typically, bouts of this nature come later in a boxer's career, so it caught many of Davis's supporters by surprise. Fans had expected him to face top-level opponents, like the Shakurs, and didn't anticipate a matchup against a social media personality. Tank tried to downplay the criticism, suggesting that fans should simply enjoy the sport and accept that detractors will always exist. However, many longtime supporters felt this response overlooked their loyalty and the financial support they've provided throughout his career.